Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And we got something special for you guys today. I worked those pipes today for a reason. I haven't heard me really draw that intro out like that in a while. Because we have, once again on the show, DeJoseph and Roach, writers of Lucha Underground, and we're going to talk Season 4 with them today. We're going to do it a little bit differently, though, this time. First time they were on the show was more of a formalized interview. Today, it's more of an open Q&A. We have some questions for them, but also we're fielding your questions today. So everybody in the live chat, think of your best questions about the latest season of Lucha Underground and post them in there, and maybe you'll get your questions answered by either Roach or DeJoseph. Partner, how you feeling?
Oh, brother, it's great. It's a great day, and I got to tell you, man, I think if you would take all of the audio clips of you going V and Adam up, probably 70% of that is dedicated to Lucha Underground related content, because these are always the shows that get you the most hype. Am I wrong?
Hell yeah. I mean,
I asked if I was wrong, and you said yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I meant hell no. No, I'm just saying. No, it's the fucking best show on earth. Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna waste my lung capacity on an inferior product. Are you kidding me? But no, with Lucha Underground, you got to bring the A game. So I hope I did that today.
Yeah, guys. So we do have Roach, if you want to say hello to the fans.
What's up, everybody?
And DJ DeJoseph is over here as well. DJ, you want to say something?
Yo, what's up?
All right, awesome. We are going to be holding a Q&A here, guys, so you all can start asking questions. We are going to do our best to keep up with chat. I'm going to be kind of recording questions in a little notepad document on the side so that I don't miss anything. And I guess, John, if you want to start with, I think you had a really good question that you wanted to ask. This is just kind of a general overall kind of overview of Season 4 as a whole. So if you want to go for that, I'll start fielding questions from chat.
Brother, that's a great idea. Now, Roach DeJoseph, I know you guys are big fans of the show. You know how we do things. You know what our philosophy is. We get the negativity out of the way first because nobody likes that. Everybody wants to party. Everybody wants to have a good time. So we're going to do that first because I want to know from you guys. You've had time now to watch it back, Season 4. You know, your child continues to grow. And we know that this was a bit of a different season. I know you guys listen to the show. We even had more of our critical moments with this season. But I want to get inside your heads about it. What were some of your least favorite moments from Season 4? Like, do you look back at some stuff and you wish, like, I wish that would have come off differently, or maybe we should have gone this route with it? So what were some things that you were kind of meh about this season watching it back, if you could be self-critical for a moment here?
This is our heat of the night, huh?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. Heat of the night, absolutely.
I guess I have a few starts. I don't know, DJ, is there anything you want to start with?
No, why don't you start, and then I'll back clean up.
Yeah, I would say if there a couple overall things. Much like Season 2, just having the shorter season is hard because you're trying to cram so much story in half the time. So, we're kind of, on Season 1 and Season 3, you have more time to like have a couple of less important matches and then give your main event longer. We didn't get as much of that. And, rewatching the season, like, I thought there were a lot of really great matches, but, not as many like wow matches as maybe in past seasons. I think there's some, but you just don't have the opportunity to do as many. I also feel like the season was shot a lot faster, and we, at the very last minute, found out about a lot of talent we had written in that we couldn't use. So we had to make quick changes. People got injured. We had to make quick decisions. We had to swap things around. So, just the timing of the season. Like, this season was shot faster than any other season. We were dealt bad cards like the day before shooting, and we just had to fit in a lot more in less time.
Right. I'm sure there's no such thing as like perfect circumstances, but this had the worst circumstances of the 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think I think 1 had the best circumstances, 3 had the second best, 2 had the third, and this had the worst. I don't know if you agree with that,
I mean,
DJ.
really though, didn't you guys have some issues with like visa problems at the beginning of 1 even?
Yeah, we did. But what was great about 1 is we were that was when the budget was way higher, and and they didn't realize, we could film a bunch of shows in a weekend where they were shooting like 1 show on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So by episode 3 we were shooting that like 3 weeks later, where it was like we're shooting 6 episodes in a weekend. So if someone had a visa issue, they weren't going to be on.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a problem. So what about you, DJ? You want to add anything?
Oh gosh, yeah, I think I agree with all those points that Chris made. I mean, the frustration of those kinds of visa issues, or last minute things, injuries. That you wish things could have gone the way that they did, but they didn't, and you just have to go on the fly. I would definitely, one of the things I would do is I would redo Aztec Warfare, the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not, that was actually going to be one of my questions, is why the decision was made to do Aztec Warfare in episode 1.
I'll let Chris answer that, but I'll go into to why I think that we should have. That I wish I could have gone back and redo it. But go ahead, Chris, first, and I'll answer.
So to answer that question, why was Aztec Warfare done in episode 1? Well, I'll take the heat on that. I think that was my pitch. Honestly,
I don't think it's necessarily something that requires anyone to take heat, because I don't think that doing it in episode 1 was necessarily a bad call.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, here's the reason why. This is why. I thought we should have something like big and surprising for the first episode. Like, it's also like Dario's dead. What's going to get the fans back on our side? It's like, holy shit, Aztec Warfare 2. We wanted Pentagon to win, and if you had Pentagon, if Aztec Warfare was like 12 episodes in and he wins, like, it was such in our mind, a great way to like make Pentagon seem like a legitimate champ right off the top. Like his first title defense, he beat so many guys. And also, I think DJ and I like to make things feel WWE, and by the way, I think they're doing some really cool stuff lately, but WWE and can be very predictable. It's like you always know when the Royal Rumble is. You always know that this kind of pattern leads to this kind of pattern. And so I think we just thought, hey, let's shake it up and do something unexpected.
Right. Oh, that's cool though. I did love the idea because it's like a momentum boost, because it's like the product's been gone for so long and now it comes back, and rather than just kind of doing a normal episode to start, you immediately just blow things out of proportion and make it huge. I love that. Right. So I'm gonna move on to our next question.
Well, can I finish my?
Yeah, I was actually going to throw it back to you because you wanted to finish talking about what you would change about Aztec Warfare.
Yeah, and I think just to that point, having it first, it was an awesome idea, but having not shot any seasons for almost a year at that point, from a production standpoint, from a talent standpoint, from every aspect, and from a time standpoint, plus we had to shoot a whole nother episode that same day. Right. There's so many moving parts in Aztec Warfare and so much story to be told that I feel like it got rushed, and some of the stuff went longer than it was supposed to. We had the clock break in the middle of it, which caused a whole nother issue. But I think that would be like one thing. I think it turned out fine, but I would have really liked it to be a lot better. I think that's one thing. And then my other thing that I would like to change is to have the finale have been 3 hours instead of 2, which we were really pushing for, because some of the extended versions of those matches are insane. I think Mill and Mac went like 25 minutes. Oh wow. Pentagon and Marty was up there. I was pretty close, I think, to what they had. But yeah, I wish we could have showed all of those matches in their entirety. Even Phoenix and Azteca, there was a lot of stuff that had to be taken down. But it happens when like everybody's going over their times, and it's really hard to then make the show fit. So we were hoping for 3 hours, but unfortunately, that was not a possibility.
Yeah,
Right.
and one quick thing about that, I think that's kind of what I was saying too. Like, I don't want to take anything away from the performers because our wrestlers put on amazing matches this season, but because of time constraints, a lot of them were cut down.
Yeah, I think that we kind of even noticed that with a lot of the matches that we were really hyped for, just felt a little underwhelming because of most likely they being cut short.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the next question that I wanted to get to was from Zachary Shiloh in chat. And I'm curious about this myself. And if he wouldn't have asked it, I probably would have. Which of the people that have either left the temple of their own volition, like, Killshot, Shane Strickland, I don't remember, what was Jermaine Strickland? That's right. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
Or have been killed off, such as like Vibora and other guys like that. How many of those guys have legitimately left the company and are not going to be back if there's a season 5? Is that a question that you can answer, or
I don't know, DJ?
I mean, I don't know what I can answer. I can probably just say, yeah, Strickland. Yeah, he's gone for sure.
Right.
Prince Puma, Bale. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think Bale's coming back. But other than that, I think everything's kind of up in the air where we go from there. Oh, and
no,
and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I was gonna say, so all these sacrifices to the god are still potentially.
Yes, they could come back.
Okay, all right. I think that was a big one.
I would say
questions. Oh, go ahead.
By the way, I would say, and Vibora was like he got hurt, and we just thought of this crazy idea and just shot it like the next day because they were already filming a different snake scene the next day. Right. Our intention in that moment, we were like, we could figure it out next season, right. Bring him back. But I would say, like with Killshot, if you look at characters like Killshot and Prince Puma, who their story wrapped up in a pretty good way, right. That's a good indication of they're not coming back, at least for now.
It's actually funny. I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend with these questions we're getting in chat. I think that they are still under the impression that we're doing the last video that we did. Most of these questions are what things were meant to happen and what things happened on the fly, basically.
You can ask that. I mean,
sure.
Right. Yeah. But we've got someone asked, was it always the plan to put the title on Marty? Was Taya always going to be possessed by Rosa? Was Stu Bennett always going to be the Lord? Like all kinds of questions about like whether things were originally intended or were changed. So let's just kind of start at the beginning. A question from the Chiefin: was Taya always going to be possessed by Rosa at the end of the season?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean her the worldwide other than like Vibora getting hurt and we actually were planning on Jeremiah Snake joining the Reptiles, but he actually joined earlier because Vibora got hurt. So Vibora, I think what we had planned was Vibora was gonna then get kind of a singles run. Like I think we had Vibora and Mill feuding briefly.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the Worldwide Underground story didn't really, that was one of the early things we did. And that pretty much stayed the same from Ricky with the doll to the wedding to Johnny and Matanza and Johnny getting the gauntlet and everything. And then Taya. Nice. Yeah.
So the plan was always for Johnny Mundo to be the tragic hero.
Yeah.
Yes.
John, did you have any questions you wanted to add in here?
Oh, you mean just for me and not fielding the chat? I was just thinking more because what I love about the show, and I know I kind of touched on this when you guys were here the first time, is how you handle really heavy topics like out there in the real world. Like my example that I used with you guys with the Dante Killshot feud and coming back from war and how war changes you. And I still feel like that was one of the best storylines in wrestling I've probably ever seen in all my years of watching it. So really, I guess my curiosity too, because I'm thinking about the final few minutes of season 4, and I'm thinking about the scene where Jake Strong gets back in the limo and he gets asked, whose blood is that? And it's Matanza's, and the camera pans really quickly to Antonio's face, and he actually seems saddened by the loss. Like this guy that we've come to know, and part of my language here, but as a real prick, because like with how often he like puts down Dario and stuff, he actually seems to be sad by the loss of Matanza. But yet, if we remember the Lucha Underground comics, which, I mean, you guys are here, and I will remind again, those comics were freaking amazing. I freaking love those comics. He seemed all too happy to make that sacrifice, you know, giving his son to the god there. And I've said about Dario on the podcast, like, that he just seems like a really tragic character in a way, despite, like, his villainous aspect. So when you're writing the Cueto family, I guess my question is, what do you feel about the Cueto family? Because I just feel like they're sinister, yes, but there is that element of tragedy there. How do you feel about them when you write them and you kind of see it come to life in these dynamics? Because I think they're one of the most fascinating parts of Lucha Underground, honestly, but I don't think we've really explored the Cueto family that intimately on screen.
That's an interesting question. Do you want to start, DJ?
Sure. I mean, first, I agree. I think the Cueto family and Dario and Matanza's story is the centerpiece of Lucha Underground for sure. And I think that they're, you know, the main characters and the most important characters to the story. But you know, I think when we approach writing it, we first kind of go with a little bit of fun, and we kind of talk about like what things happened. How did this affect Dario? How did you know, his mother getting killed, how did that affect how they behave now? I mean, if you notice like little things like Antonio wears his wedding ring still constantly. You know, there's little details I think that we try to put a little bit of extra effort in, and at the same time, you know, I have to give credit to Luis, who plays Antonio and Dario, and he really kind of dives into the character, and we can give him some stuff, and then he can throw out ideas, and you know, he has ideas of where he wants to take the character, and you know, it's just, or characters, and it's just kind of fun. I don't know if I answered your question here, but I'll let Chris take it from there.
I just find it fascinating, right? Because again, and I'm assuming I'm not spoiling anything. Everybody that's in chat has probably already, you know, seen the whole season, I hope. You know, and Matanza's dead now, but Dario comes back. But both Dario and Antonio had very unique relationships with Matanza, and I just wonder if his absence is going to be a cause of tension between Dario and Antonio going forward, since there's probably already a lot of animosity to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I will, if I could touch on that a little bit. First of all, you're sort of, I guess it was a question about like Antonio's look of remorse in the limo.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, sometimes I like, you know, things that can be interpreted how the audience sees it. But to me, there's either two answers. It's either that, you know, there is a shred of humanity in him, and maybe when he offered his son to be sacrificed, it wasn't because it was the less preferred son. It was because he believed he was giving that son an honor. So maybe he indeed liked Matanza better. And feels, even if it's just for a second, his loss. Or the other way to look at it is that was his big contribution to the order, and that's just been taken away. And he's like, you know, is it like, oh, fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it could be interpreted either of those ways. Time will tell. But as far as, to me, the big tell about Dario versus Antonio was that Dario kept that key close to his heart and kept it precious, and kept Matanza's sliver of humanity intact, where Antonio had no problem destroying the key.
Yep. I was even going to say, I feel like Dario loved his brother, Antonio loved the god.
Yes, that's a good way to say it too.
Yeah. All right. I think we can probably get to our next question. I'm going to ask one from Brandon Best. What was, in your opinion, the funniest moment or moments, if you want to have more than one, of season 4, whether intentionally or unintentionally?
Oh, can I answer first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going for, I mean, to me, I think it is Big Rick's skull in the in the locker, smoking a cigar with an eye patch. I think that was pretty funny to me. Hopefully I didn't steal one from Chris and he's got another one. That one for sure. I love everything about whatever the Mac does. I just absolutely adore that guy. He's amazing.
Yeah, to me, I think I sort of find the funniest Ricky, like a doll enticing Ricky to kill Benji.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was supposed to be more horrific than funny, but it's so absurd.
Yeah, and then his face afterwards. I mean, yeah, that was funny.
I also I find Famous B so funny. I mean, I know like we've seen a lot of Famous B a long time, but like when he's every time he's on screen, I'm like, that guy's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we do have another question from the Chief, and I want to add a little bit to it. The original question is basically, how long have you guys known that you wanted Stu Bennett to play the Lord character? And then my addition to that is, how long have you known that he was actually going to be able to do that?
Okay. The Stu Bennett thing kind of came around. Well, I don't think we ever knew exactly who that character was going to be. We had thrown his name out there at one point. But like 2 years ago, I saw a tweet from him being like he was binging Lucha Underground or something like that, and he thought it was awesome. So I was just sent him a message and was like, "Hey man, like if you ever want to do anything, like we're here. Like feel free. You know, we'd love to have you." And then a couple years went by, and we got close to the point where we're trying to decide who it was going to be. There were some people who were moved around in certain positions, and Stu was available, and he was really into it. And then we made that decision. I think it was fairly early in the season. I want to say I don't really. I want to say at least maybe halfway through the season. We kind of.
Right. So at the end of the day, it was more of like an in the moment season 4. Let's do this now decision.
Yeah, I mean, we had to. He became available, and he wanted to do it for a while. I don't know if he wanted to participate in things like that, and then he was really into it, and he did it, and we didn't tell anybody, so nobody on the roster had any idea. I mean, it was. I saw Taya a few weeks ago, and she was like still shocked by it. She's like, "That was so awesome! I had no idea." Yeah. And I think that's part of the fun of the show.
So not even the workers necessarily know what goes behind the scenes with the other workers.
No, they don't.
That's awesome. All right, so let's see. You know what? I do have a question though. As far as the whole Stu Bennett situation goes, is it now or was it ever a plan for that Lord character to get in the ring and wrestle?
Of course, but we'll see. We'll see if it happens. But I feel like in wrestling, I feel like we had a discussion early on about how like in pro wrestling, like you have to assume everyone might get in the ring at some point.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things we even told Dario when he started. It was like, "You sure you want to do this? Because there is going to become a point where we're going to have to do some physicality." And he was like, "Oh, I love it. This is great."
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. John, any more questions from you on your end?
Since we're keeping it to season 4, one question that I have: what was the inspiration for the strange alliance of Aerostar, King Cuerno, and El Dragon Azteca Jr., disposing of this gauntlet and seemingly battling back against Antonio and more broadly the Order? Because those are 3 guys that you wouldn't normally expect to associate with each other. So what was the motivation for that?
Well, I think that one thing that was very important for us in going into season 4 was we got to start getting toward an end game, at least with the Gods and Tribes storyline. Because even if Lucha Underground went 20 seasons, I think we would need to tie up this thread eventually and move on to something else. So we really wanted to start acting as if, okay, whatever this coming war that Aerostar's been talking about is it's coming. And Aerostar has clearly been the arbiter of, humanity and the tribes, and we get, this thing is coming, so he's got to unite the tribes. And Cuerno and Dragon are both leaders of their tribes. So I think it's like as we get closer to the showdown between the gods and the tribes, you'd see more of this kind of thing.
All right.
That's awesome.
Ashton, do we have any more questions from the audience that you want to field, or do you have any more of your own
Oh
questions?
yeah, there are quite a few. I'm just trying to kind of make sure it's balanced. Maybe I get a question here and there, you get a question, then we get the chat involved. You know, trying to kind of do a little bit of a merry-go-round. Next, though, let's just get a question here from Hypothesis. Is there an equal number of gods as there are Aztec tribes? So basically 7 of each.
Do we want to reveal anything on this, DJ?
I don't think so. I don't think we want to say that.
I didn't know that it was a spoiler, honestly.
Sorry, Hypothesis. Don't want to give that
up. All right.
Oh wow.
The one thing I'll give away, and I'm not saying anything about the numbers, but it will be an uphill battle for the tribes.
Oh, okay.
Oh right. Shit! Damn.
That's exciting.
All right, so then we'll get to a question from Kid Coheed. With some of the roster members leaving, whether by injury or whatever else, what was something that you were betting on and hoping to be able to do in season 4 that ended up falling through and not being able to do? Anything?
Way more Dante Fox.
Oh,
yeah, what happened with him? What was the story with Dante that he missed most of the season?
He had some injuries and was unable to perform. So we had to wait.
Yeah, he wasn't cleared, and we sort of found out right before we were going, and then luckily he got cleared right at the end. But
yeah, so even the missing in action thing, like that came about like at the very that came out like we made that decision like pretty close to when the show before we actually taped the Aztec Warfare, didn't we? I think. We had to change things up because he was originally starting Aztec Warfare.
Yeah, well, originally wasn't it the original pitch, because we were going to start the kill shot heal thing. Is the original pitch for Aztec Warfare was that Mac, kill shot, and Dante all came out together. But the Trios champion only got one spot in, and they had to decide, and Killshot just sort of stepped up and was like, okay, I'm in, without discussing with them. And then Son of Havoc was going to be number 2, and that would begin their program.
Yeah. All right. We got a question here from Blade Crow. He's wondering if Rosa's voice is done by the beautiful Brenda.
No.
Okay.
No. Rosa's voice is done by an actress. Gosh, I want to remember. I want to say her name's Kimmy, but she was on Twin Peaks. She's like a character actress in a lot of commercials, stuff like that. And that's who did Rose's voice.
All right, cool. I think our next question, we have a few from the first person to ask any questions, Zachary Shiloh. So I'm just gonna pick the one that's left, because we did already have a question from him the way I asked you, but we've gotten to 2 from a few people. Here's a good one. How did you come up with the ending scenes, like the final few minutes of season 4? What was, what went into making that happen?
Well, you mean just the writing? Like, how did we decide? I mean, there's some things I think very early on we knew we wanted at the end. Like,
yeah, I think that's where the question is going, is like, what exactly led you to those exact scenes happening and that kind of stuff?
Well, after we shot and apparently killed Dario, or shot Dario at the end of season 3, we had lots of back and forth discussions about how we wanted to handle his death. And so once we sort of figured that out, we knew that would be the ending. And I think for a long time we kind of knew we wanted to do Black Lotus finally getting her revenge on Matanza.
Yeah.
I sort of, and DJ, maybe DJ might have a better idea, but I sort of feel like for the most part, all those scenes that were kind of the end montage were pretty much how we envisioned it very early on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we've been waiting. I think the audience has been waiting for that limo scene forever, and the reveal of the Lord. And I think all that stuff was pretty well planned out, and didn't have to change too much at all, if any.
Yeah, definitely the absolute best sort of ending cinematic of any season, and I would even put it above the season 1, which is kind of a big deal because that's been kind of the up on the pedestal for me since that happened. But yeah,
it's the first time you see it. That's why,
absolutely.
but I agree. I've heard a lot of good feedback on it, that people really love that. But I think I think the reason I think it comes off so well is that it's it's something that everybody's been waiting for. That you're like, oh my god, yeah, this is happening. It's all culminating in that kind of war that we were trying to get to. Is right at our doorstep right now.
Yeah. So it was another question from Zachary Shiloh, but I'm going to kind of reword it because he just said, what was the most satisfying season 4 moment? And I just want to kind of reword that and say, what would you say out of season 4? Was there anything, I should say, in season 4 that really stood out as something that you imagined being amazing on paper and it played out just as well, if not better, when it actually happened?
Well, definitely that end montage.
Right.
Yeah.
Something I loved, and I feel like, I don't know if it got over as much as I thought it would, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't always have a pulse on what people think, but I loved the wedding. Like, I loved Johnny's proposal, and then I loved the actual wedding and like Matanza crashing it. I mean, that might have also been a thing that for timing was trimmed a little bit shorter, but I remember filming it that day. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, I just remember being really angry at Ricky Mundo when Matanza was tearing up the wedding.
Damn you, Ricky.
Yeah.
What do you think, DJ?
And really angry at the doll, I guess, since that was her idea.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think for me, what I thought, I thought Marty as champion was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That was actually another question that we got, was if it was always the plan for him to hold that title this season.
I think we wanted to get the belt on him at some point because he had really earned it, and he had that character and the work that he did too, and to get the character over and he'd come such a long way. I think we thought it really worked. That I can't say enough again about Chelsea Green.
I know,
who played Reclusa. Like, she kind of stepped into that role at kind of a last minute where we were going to use somebody else, and she became available, and she came to some tapings and wanted to work some dark matches for us, and we put her in, and we're like, she would be awesome as Reclusa, and man, did she pull it off!
Yeah.
So those things to me came off pretty cool.
And by the way, I remember with Chelsea, not getting into too many details, but basically they had a contract for her, which she was apprehensive about. And we were just like, well, she's so awesome. Even if we lose her, it'd be worth it to have her for the season. And obviously now she's in NXT, but I still think it was worth it.
Totally agree.
Yeah. I would even, honestly, for me personally, I would say that her match with Pentagon is probably the best intergender match that you guys have ever had.
Yeah, I would sign on to that. I thought that match was amazing.
It's awesome. So is the Marty Mariposa one this season too. I think those are my 2 favorite matches.
Yeah, that was really good too.
So I have a question personally, and that question is just more from a creative standpoint. As far as Jake, I'm curious as any consideration to revealing his status of being a god any earlier in the season.
No.
The plan was to withhold it that long the whole time.
Of course. Yeah. We didn't reveal Matanza forever. It took us 40 episodes to even do that. So I think we thought that was a big reveal, and it was fun.
Yeah, but Matanza wasn't making like luchadors that were pretty well established as great guys in the ring in the temple look silly that whole time the way Jake was.
I don't know if he made anybody look silly. He was dominant, and that's what he was there for.
Right.
To do.
That's more what I'm like. He's a human. Like Aerostar and Drago in that Nunchucks match. I feel like Jake Strong definitely made them look kind of weak in that.
Well, because he's a god.
Right. Well, but we didn't know that yet. We didn't know that he was a god.
But here's what's funny about that, and I think this is where it's like wrestling fans are so conditioned by WWE is like Jake Strong was literally treated like, WWE bringing in a big guy that they're going to give a bunch of wins to, and he's going to dominate over, oh, sorry, Finn Balor just got squashed. Oh, sorry, Nakamura just got squashed. People we like just got squashed. And in WWE, it's just like, well, we like this guy. He's big. And doesn't matter. And so I feel like a lot of people just assumed, especially because Jake Strong is a former WWE guy, that's just what we were doing with him. But yeah, our plan.
It's actually funny. We had somebody in our comments, and I don't remember who exactly it was, but we did have somebody in our comments before the reveal ever happened saying that he thought that Jake Strong was a god and worked for the Order and stuff like that. And that's not even something that they could have possibly been spoiled on. So that's just legitimately just them reading between the lines, getting the tea leaves, and figuring it out ahead of time. I thought that was really cool.
See, they trusted us where no one else did.
Yeah, and you even had us like, what the hell's going on here? Why is this guy so dominant? And yeah, like the reveal of him being a god kind of fixed everything. It made up for everything. And that's why I was sitting here like, why wasn't that earlier? I would have been so much more behind it faster.
I was surprised though, and maybe it's good because it says how beloved Drago and Aerostar are, but like I was kind of surprised people got so upset because Drago and Aerostar, they're awesome, but they've always sort of been mid-card guys for us. They always sort of so I was sort of surprised. And also, with that,
especially Aerostar's never really even flirted with the world title or anything.
Right. And also that storyline, I mean, another thing we were trying to do, not just build up Jake Strong, but we wanted to, we're telling the storyline of Drago's redemption and Aerostar bringing him back to the good side. And in season 3, Aerostar basically took an arm break for Drago. And so we wanted Drago to return that favor by taking the ankle break for Aerostar. So that was another reason we did that, I
think that's another detail that we missed out on.
Yeah. It was part of Drago's, Drago didn't feel he deserved Aerostar's friendship once he was kind of out of the haze of the reptile tribe. And so, symbolically he did what Aerostar did for him.
Yeah. John, you have anything else?
I'm not really tentative about asking this thing, as how I've already mentioned WWE. My question is more, I guess you could call it inside baseball, really getting like in the inner workings of Lucha Underground. Because one thing I noticed just in interviews from Lucha Underground performers, and what I've always loved about the brand, take Johnny Mundo, for instance, because of course I would bring that up, saying how much he loves working with you guys, because when he was with WWE, like he'd come with these ideas or these side projects, and they would have him on such a short leash. And I still notice that today with a lot of like the up and coming performers, like they'll say, oh, we get to Raw and we don't even know what we're doing. And, I come with these ideas and it gets rejected. But you can really see like a lot of the passion and commitment for what a lot of the performers do. Like, mentioning Johnny Mundo again, I thought he did some great stuff between the winning segment and then art imitating life with him becoming a god. I loved all of it. I guess my question is as writers that have to put these people in certain positions, like how many of them come to you, especially this season, like how many came to you and were like, I'd really like if my character did this? How much of it is just on you guys just writing him in those positions organically, just based on prior seasons of build up, and that's kind of like the crescendo, if you will, for that character to just be in that moment? Like how much dialogue goes on between writers and performers for you guys, because it really does feel like a team effort to me, and a totally different culture from WWE from where I sit.
Yeah. I mean, DJ could probably speak to it even more. I think, season 4 was a little different in the sense of it was so rushed, but, we talked to certain performers before we started, and, a lot of ideas like Ricky with the doll, I'm pretty sure that was his idea a few years ago, and we waited for the right opportunity to bring it in. So, we were both very open to, like I think Killshot and Marty, they wanted what became the Weapons of Mass Destruction match, and all the talent I think felt pretty comfortable to give ideas.
I think that's 100%. I think that like when it comes to Johnny, like I think we discussed with Johnny before the season even started. I think he might have come hung out with us, and we kind of walked him through everything, and he gave his input, and that's the kind of thing. But John, he's just. Not to just make him stand out among the others, but I've known him for, I think Chris too, like 15 something years. Our first day on the road at WWE, as when he was with Eminem, his first day on the road, not that way, but we it was together, like him coming with Eminem out of OVW is mine one. So we've always kind of been friends. I did the dirt sheet with him and Miz, and like those were like the fun things that we got to do at WWE, where like Vince didn't get to oversee it, or like nobody would say anything, right. And then we get to do the fun stuff, and it was really cool. And I think like that's part of the fun of working on Lucha Underground, is like we don't really necessarily have that. We're kind of open to like doing whatever, as long as I think it makes sense. I think we're fine with doing things, or if it's good. So,
right.
Yeah, I think there's a really good collaboration with everybody. I mean, and then sometimes though it becomes hard because the talent necessarily doesn't know all of where we're going with things, so you have to kind of explain to them, but without
right, without like
showing. You don't want to know everything. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like we had very limited, because we're willing to listen to everyone and give an explanation for why we're telling certain stories. I felt like throughout our 4 seasons, we had very little like talent being like, what are they doing? Or I hate what I'm doing. Everyone seemed pretty cool with what they were doing.
Right.
And trusting of us. By the way, John, just as a side note, since we were just talking about him, Johnny Mundo is like legit one of the nicest guys in the business. When I worked at WWE, like he's one of the few wrestlers I like stayed, like kind of kept in touch with me when I left, and was just like so nice to me when I was like a new writer and scared of everything. And he's awesome.
I mean, I've just been so happy for him and everything he's been able to do. And you guys have really had nothing but nice things to say about him, including Eric Van Wagenen too. I know he's not here, but I know he said, Johnny Mundo isn't the best in the world. Like I haven't met them, if it's not him. So I've always been very appreciative. And it's great to hear that you guys have a culture like that with the performers, because, you even hear on the WWE side guys like Stone Cold and this and that being like, oh, well, they gotta step on necks more. They got to be more vocal. And that might be true. But I think it's always a hell of a lot easier to do that if it's a more inviting culture. Be like, hey, you guys can come to us, talk to us, just have that dialogue with us. Because everybody just seems so excited about what they're doing. And it really comes off in the finished product. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the door is always open to the writers' room. People want to come in and talk to us, during show days or when we're not shooting. And I think there's good friendships with everybody on set, which is kind of different. Where I think sometimes at like WWE, people are walking on eggshells and kind of a little nervous, and like here it's just like a bunch of people hanging out who love wrestling, and we just kind of like, hey, what if we did this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times it works out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashton, did you have any more questions? Did you want to field any more questions?
Yeah, I actually have 2 very related questions. And since you were just talking about performers, I actually have questions about performers too. First one, this is much easier. I'm sure you guys can answer this quickly. If it's possible, if he's interested, are we going to get Nightclaw ever again?
I would love to. I mean, if it's a possibility, I would definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like he's like now he legitimately is the last member of the.
I will say this: whether we got the performer or not, I mean, he's amazing. I think we're going to address Nightclaw. We have to address Nightclaw because he's, part of that tribe, and the tribes are going to be very important.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that because every time I like think about, okay, here are the tribes, here are the gods, I always try and remember like who the leaders of the tribes are. I mean, we've got Cuerno, Azteca Jr., and I'm assuming Mill is the leader of whatever that 7th tribe is. We've been just calling it the Death Tribe. I don't know if you guys can confirm or deny that or not. And yeah, I always think of Jaguar tribe, but now that he's gone, it almost has to be Nightclaw, unless there is another Jaguar tribe member that just hasn't been introduced yet, which I know from a creative standpoint would be possible to do.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
All right. The other question, though, that I did want to ask as far as performers go is if there were any performers out there right now that aren't, kind of held up via contract with another company that you would want for seasons 5 or 6 or whatever, future seasons.
I never like to answer that question. And
you know what? I feel like we asked that question in the last one. You said that because if you let someone know you want them, then the person, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's a good chance that person's getting scooped up. Kind of especially in the environment today where I think everybody's getting scooped up. So
yeah, they are.
I want to say
not even with the news that's been coming out lately. Not even UK guys are safe.
Nobody.
Yeah, by the way, we actually went to NXT TakeOver because it was in Los Angeles. And besides the fact seeing, like Ricochet and a few others that, had been in Lucha Underground now on performing there, it's like, wow. I think in a squash match taped for NXT TV was a guy who was one of the Believer Backlash people. I'm like, if they're getting our Believer Backlash audience members, then they're going to take everybody.
Nobody is safe.
No one is safe. Actually, I didn't see it, but didn't the kid who like pinned Shane or Miz or something on SmackDown last week, didn't he work a bunch of dark matches for us?
Yes, I don't know if he. Yeah, I don't know if he signed with them or not, but yes.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I'm pretty sure he didn't sign with them because they were kind of used as like local talent kind of thing.
Got it.
But yeah, so anything else from you, John? I think we have like one or two questions left from chat, and I'm pretty much out unless I think of something else. How about you, John?
Really?
I'm just hoping you guys don't get signed up by WWE.
Yeah.
I like my TWitWoW.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We're a little stronger, guys. Don't worry about that. I do want to keep it positive, though. I could take a cynical route talking about the current culture, like with just WWE sucking up all the talent, but I do want to keep it Lucha Underground focused. So I'll say, I really not even love, because even when I'm like a bit perplexed by the casting, it's always like a fascinating process to me. One guy I do want to talk about, though the question's more broad than this, Hexagon Dark. Love the casting for that, because I thought it was just so unexpected. And then he comes out, and really I thought he had an amazing debut, just laying out Pentagon Dark and being the reason he lost the title to Jake Strong, and then realizing that they're bonded via being members of the Order. When you guys are writing these characters, I just want to know, like, from a writer's perspective, so this really is a question that deals explicitly with the writing. How does the conception work? Is it that you have somebody that you want to work with, and then you model just a character for them, or you just have the character and then you find the closest approximation via a performer? Is it like, oh, I really liked, Jack Swagger when he was here in WWE, let's get him and we can make this for him? Or is it like, we made this thing and we feel like Jack Swagger would be the best guy to fill in those shoes, so to speak? Like, what is the process like, I guess is essentially what I'm getting at.
I think it's both.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. I mean, like early on, for instance, on season 1, it's like we kind of inherited some characters like Prince Puma and Mill. And so we were like, okay, we got to find people to like fill these roles. And we got really lucky and found amazing performers that elevated them. But then you get someone like Johnny Mundo, and you're not like, now what character can Johnny Mundo play? It's like, no, this guy stands out and we got to make him, and then there's someone like Jake Strong, who's kind of, not as beloved maybe as like a Johnny Mundo, but also not someone necessarily that you can just ignore and like make some new character and pretend people haven't heard of him before. But that's why the God thing works so well, because, in our universe, anyone can be possessed by God. So theoretically, it makes sense, even if you think our universe is connected to WWE, it could still make sense,
Right.
Believe it or not, I was even thinking about asking a question about, like, do events that go on in the real world also happen parallel to the Lucha Underground universe?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the announcers talk about the other federations and stuff like that. So I do think, in somewhere in that. universe.
Well, it's funny, because I was even thinking about that one Paul London match where Matt Striker was talking about his past bouts with, like, you know, Ring of Honor, or he might have mentioned Samoa Joe or this and that. So it's almost like it has to with how they
I sort of imagine it like it's a slight alternate universe, kind of like in the Marvel universe, like they'll talk about, you know, like in like Avengers, like Spider-Man will talk about seeing Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
But, you know, but they're in our world, but obviously they're not in our world too.
Okay.
And I sort of see,
I've always tried to think of Lucha Underground as like a Marvel Cinematic Universe type, like its own universe, but it's also taking place in the same kind of world, but it's just a, you know, parallel universe kind of thing. Yeah. I just think there's some, you can't like go all the way. Like, we can't pretend WWE doesn't exist. Like, because like 98% of people who watch Lucha Underground either also watch WWE or grew up watching it or something. So they're not going to be like, you know, like Rey Mysterio. It doesn't make sense to bring him in as some different character. He's Rey Mysterio. Everyone knows who he is. Saying, like, that's how we did Alberto. That's, you know, we're at, you know, Johnny. We talk about his past. But then certain characters we make up, and if, you know, you can just start fresh. So anyway, that's a long-winded way to say we do both.
Hey, that's what we're here for. Now, I just Hexagon Dark just blew my mind, because I loved it too. Because I don't know, like I'm a nerd. Okay, I'll readily admit that. And when you think of like mythology and stuff like that, you always think of like these big, you know, towering figures, and Matanza kind of fit that bill as a god. I mean, certainly so. But I like that you almost went like on the opposite side of the pole with Hexagon, and I love that. I love that.
I have to say, you know, I'll give DeJoseph credit for that, because, you know, he's always the one pushing for something a little unexpected. And, you know, I think early on we talked about, like, do we make Tejano this character down the line, or someone that physically is a little more dominant? But, you know, I think what's cool about Lucha Underground is it is a little unexpected, and it is, you know, you could make like sizes and everything.
Yes, subverting growth.
I also thought that within the group there needs to be a little bit of the group of the gods. There needs to be a little bit of balance between the kind of performers. So that way everybody's not the same kind of like big man. Like now you got a small guy who can do a bunch of insane stuff, and then, you know, you've got Taya, who's very versatile and can do a bunch of different things. And you know, you try to make the group a little more well-rounded.
Yeah, like for instance, like Kevin Cross could have easily been, you know, Vampiro's master, but then it's like Kevin Cross and Jake Strong and Stu Bennett are all kind of similar types, you know? And
is the Lord character a god as well, or is he just kind of leading everything?
He's a god. I mean, I don't know. Is that a spoiler, TJ?
I don't know. I don't think so. Whatever. He is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know about 4 now. We know about him, Jake, Hexagon Dark, and Taya. And obviously lost Matanza, so that's -1. But then we also don't have any the Gauntlet yet, so that's another one. And someone earlier did ask if the god in the Gauntlet was the same as the god that was in Matanza, and I'm assuming that's a no.
No.
Right. So those are 2 more gods that could exist. The fact that Matanza was killed, though, is that god also dead, or is that just going to find a new host somehow?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh boy. All right. You know what? We do have one more question from Cross and Bean. I think this is going to be the last one, unless one of us thinks of another one. And I actually want to add a little twist to this too. After you answer the initial question, would you bring back the Black Lotus Triad if you could?
Hell yeah.
You kidding me? Of course.
All right. So my little twist is because we know that Kairi and Io, or I should say Doku and Hitokiri, are both signed with WWE in NXT. Would you bring it back with just a different 3 women? Maybe keeping Mayu or Yurei and bringing in 2 different other women to still be a part of the Black Lotus Triad?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be open to that as long as it, you know, was as cool.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking is because every time the Black Lotus Triad, knowing that you can't use Kairi and Io anymore, I think of the two women that kind of head up Stardom's biggest heel faction, or at least they did. Oedo Tai, Kagetsu, and Hana Kimura were the two that I always think of as far as like who Kairi and Io in that faction.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. And as far as Stardom goes, like Mr. Ogawa, like we have a good relationship with him, and I think that they were all fans of Lucha Underground and really wanted to do it too. So that was kind of a cool thing that happened.
Yeah. DJ, is your dog playing with a squeaky toy?
Yeah, it's a turtle.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, listen. We love the Black Lotus Triad. I mean, if we had it our way, they would have been with us full time, been trios champions, you know. But you got to deal with the reality.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else. John, do you have anything else for him?
Nothing really substantive. No, I think I had all of my big questions answered.
By the way, last thing, I know you guys always try to keep it positive, but you were a little harsh, a little rough on us at some points, which is totally fair. But if you want to ask us any harsh questions before we go, speak now.
Well, the biggest criticism that I had throughout season 4 was the Jake Strong character.
Yeah, totally.
And that got pretty much amended or fixed, I guess you could say, when the big reveal happened that he's a god.
Yes.
Right.
There's one thing I do want to talk about that we didn't talk about that I love. On season 4.
Okay.
And that is Dark Phoenix.
Okay. We did get a question. How was Dark Phoenix written? But it was from somebody that I had already asked 3 questions from, and I didn't want to do overboard.
Well, I first of all, like it was kind of a fun thing to do, and I will just say, like that's a situation where we gave Phoenix the ball with something like that, and he just totally reinvented himself and just took it to the next level. Like I think the first night he came out in front of the audience and he was like drooling. We had no idea he was going to do that, and it was just like this is awesome. Like this is freaking awesome. Like he knew the character to do, and he went out to do that. And in my opinion, that guy is on his way to being one of the best in the whole world. Man, I couldn't be more proud of him because he's so awesome. And I think one of the things that I like so much about him is that he constantly he's so young, but he still reinvents himself when he has the opportunity. And I think that's a good thing in order to stay fresh in wrestling. It reminds me of Shawn Michaels in a way.
Oh yeah, I truly believe that about Phoenix, but I believe, listen, reality is eventually all this amazing talent will probably end up in WWE as well they should, because they're amazingly talented. And, as of now, that's the biggest game in town. But I think in 10 years or something, when people look back upon Lucha Underground, they're going to be like, oh my God, all the greatest wrestlers in the world were in one place. And look how far they've come. You know what I mean? When people are like Phoenix and Pentagon and Killshot and Marty and Jeff Cobb and all these people who I expect to go on and just do amazing things, I think people are going to be like, I cannot believe they were all in this one place that had awesome storytelling and I wasn't watching.
Yeah. That might be a great way for you guys to add fans too, is just people going elsewhere and everyone realizing how amazing they are and wanting to see their other work and being like, oh shit, they were in this promotion, Lucha Underground, that I've never watched before. Let's check it out. And that one character might bring them in, but then the storytelling will keep them.
Yeah. I mean, our roster was incredible, from season 1. I mean, every season we've just had such an incredible roster. Yeah. It blows my mind.
There was a hell of a roster overhaul this season, though. That's something that I definitely didn't.
Yeah, that has to kind of happen. We had to kind of do that. We were hoping to introduce a little bit more new blood into the show, but we did not have that opportunity.
Yeah. We did.
Go ahead, Roach.
I was just going to say, could I say that we did have a whole storyline written with 3 new luchadors that never happened.
Oh wow!
Oh okay.
Yeah.
So Mark Schoeneman in chat wants to know if we can confirm season 5. I'm assuming you guys probably don't even know yet, do you?
No, we don't. So press the El Rey Network and tell them that you want.
I was going to say, well, John was even thinking about asking you guys something about how interactions with the El Rey Network are, but I don't think you guys really do that, do you? That's W.
I mean, yeah, no, there's interactions with them for sure, but like mostly from when we're actually doing the show creatively.
Right.
That's the kind of interactions we have. But yeah, at this point, it's up to other people.
Yeah,
right. Push them for it. Tell them that you want it and that you need to see it. I think that's important. Our fans have such a strong voice, and I think that the Lucha Underground believers out there, let them know.
Yeah. Hashtag we want Lucha season 5.
Absolutely.
Hey, everybody get that shit trending. Hashtag we want LUS5.
Absolutely, because I know, just to kind of touch on, just kind of respond in my own way, because I know Ashton got a chance to respond saying like his criticisms were Jake Strong. I feel like my biggest criticisms could really all amount in the umbrella term that I did use on the podcast. Structural issues is how I described it, because I do notice, I mean, I even kind of made it a little bit of a joke on the show, the even number seasons are always the ones that get the short end of the stick, because it's like lesser episodes and stuff like that. Like, I have seen when you guys have a big sandbox to play with of 39 episodes, which I believe that was season 3, if I'm not mistaken, was 39.
Oh, season 3 was 40. 1 was 39.
40. Yeah, excuse me. 1 was 39. But regardless, when you guys have that kind of sandbox to work with, I notice that the pacing seems to be like a lot calmer. It doesn't seem as frenetic. Stories are able to breathe. You're able to really, I think, go more in depth with some places. So that's what I'm hoping for season 5. Not just that you get a season 5, but you get the season that I know that you guys deserve, and that would be like 40 plus episodes, or however many you need to tell the stories you want to tell. Because to me, yeah, I think you just look at some of the things, and I'm like, well, I can understand why they did what they did, but I bet if they had like at least 3 or 4 more episodes, they could have let this breathe a bit more, and then it would have just felt a bit more natural. So structurally, I am hoping that you guys get everything that you need to make the best season possible, because those final few minutes were incredible. I mean, just really blew my mind. I thought it was the best ending Lucha Underground has done. And so I'm just hoping that you guys get everything that you need. I'm hoping when we get word of season 5, because it will happen, we will make it so not even the Aztec gods can stop us, that it is 39 plus episodes, or again, however many you're aiming for. So yeah, I think a lot of my complaints did come back to structure, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think our ideal would be about 40 episodes without a big hiatus in between those episodes.
That'd be great.
That would be really awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Just run January to September straight through, maybe finish in October, I guess. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is one of the downsides of having such an amazing roster is you really want to service everyone and give everyone some sort of meaningful storyline as best you can. And so when you have 20 something episodes that are basically with commercials like 43 minutes each, you try to shove a lot in there, and it's hard because things do need room to breathe, and in these short seasons you don't really have that time.
Yeah, I was even going to say earlier when you guys were talking about the funniest moments in season 4 that didn't even get mentioned actually was Vinny's pizza ordering. And yeah, he's another guy that you guys do have on the roster that I'm sure you want to fit time in to get segments in, if for no other reason, because it's great comedic relief.
Yeah.
No, we pretty much try to avoid putting Vinny on. I'm just kidding. Vinny's great, and
we love Vinny.
We do.
And by the way, if this had been like a 40 episode season, we probably would have given Vinny a more significant storyline. I mean, unfortunately, I mean that's true. DJ and I talked about it a lot.
We had one planned. Kind of planned.
Yeah, we had one sort of planned for him, but it's so short. I mean, in a way, sacrifice to the gods. And by the way, that does not necessarily mean they're dead. But one of the reasons we did is like we have such a big roster, and this is a interesting way to trim the fat. Like it's making Matanza more powerful without and also just not like jobbing out these characters for no reason. But it's like if we didn't have time for certain characters, it was a good way to, write them off for now.
Yeah. All right.
So it's like a soul stone thing where they're not dead, they're just trapped somewhere or something like that.
I have not seen Avengers 4, so who knows?
Well, that's true, but I mean in more comics. You know.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. We'll see. Probably, but you're on the right path.
All right. I think we're all out of questions, guys. We do have one that's kind of a more of a, you know, not as heavy as some of the stuff we've talked about. Boris wants to know if you couldn't have gotten Stu Bennett, if this guy hadn't signed with NXT, would Keith Lee have been in consideration to play the Lord?
I think that's a possibility. I was hoping for The Rock, but you know.
That would have been amazing.
I feel like Keith Lee is so incredible. If we had signed him, I think we would have tried to get him in the arena right away. I mean, not saying we wouldn't want to do that with Stu Bennett, but I feel like we probably would have. You know, Stu Bennett's great because he's also an actor, but he's also like, you know, he's going to have that because of WWE and everything else. You know, everyone's going to like recognize him. Like he was so perfect for the Lord. Like Keith Lee, I feel like we would have tried to, you know, get in matches ASAP.
He's awesome, though. He is so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're all out of questions. I don't know if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you guys were really looking forward to discussing on this, or if John, if you have anything else left, but I am all out and we don't really have anything else left from chat either.
No, I'm all out as well. Is there anything that you guys did want to, because I know, like, I was happy that DeJoseph talked about, like, Dark Phoenix. He wanted to get that off his chest. Anything else that you guys wanted to kind of clear the air on or get off your chest now that you got live mics to do it and you're here?
Well, I mean, I think we sort of explained it. You know, I think, you know, like there's a lot of things I realized people were disappointed with, and, you know, just know that it's never our intention to disappoint, and we do have long-term plans, and things are not always as they seem, but, you know, we just love that the people who are still passionate are passionate about it. And we're glad that it turned out. We're glad it seemed we left people on a high note.
All right. Well said. Well said.
What do you, TJ?
I couldn't agree more. I thank you for the support. I thank you guys for supporting the show and talking about it, which is a good thing. And you know, I hope other people keep doing the same. And it's been amazing to be able to do 4 seasons of this.
Yeah.
And I was even, before we close out here, I figured I would use this time as kind of an opportunity to announce that once some kind of an announcement comes out about season 5, whether it's, you know, when it's happening or that it's not happening, which I really hope doesn't happen, but whenever that announcement happens will be when Lucha Rewatch season 4 also begins.
Exciting.
Yeah, always a good time to like comb over the episodes again, see what we missed. And with that said, I guess Ash and I can take us home on this then.
Oh, can I just say one exclusive thing? I can exclusively reveal that Lucha Rewatch season 4 will be happening in 2022.
Oh, okay.
That's terrible. You had my heart fluttering there for a second, man.
Just kidding. God, before you do your stuff, I want to agree with DJ. Thank you so much for all you guys do. We really appreciate you helping to keep the brand alive and all you do here.
Well, I mean, we love the show. I think it's really an experience, and I think you guys tell stories better than everybody else going right now. I can't wait to see those stories in season 5, particularly Johnny putting that doll in the fireplace.
Oh, yes. And I was even going to say, like, to me, you just giving general praise to Lucha Underground, to me, every wrestling company right now that isn't striving to do what either Lucha Underground or New Japan is doing, just as far as like picking a side, are you a TV show or are you a sport? If you're not picking one of those sides and trying your hardest to go in that direction, I feel like you're falling behind, because places like WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, places basically that are trying to convince their audience that they're a legit sport, but also, by the way, we're kind of a TV show too. I'm really, really kind of souring on that style. Because even like with NXT, they're going more in the New Japan direction, where they're trying to feel more like sporty. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just feel like if you're not aiming to do what Lucha Underground is doing, at the very least trying to aim to do what New Japan is doing, you're falling behind, in my opinion. So yeah, go ahead, John. You can close this out.
All right, guys. Well, this has been our open forum on Lucha Underground Season 4. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my corner commentary, Ashton. We got a super chat. Goddamn. $2 super chat from Cliff. The Rock versus Vinny Massaro Ultima Lucha Cinco. Yeah, well, you guys got to get on it. Yeah, absolutely, got to get that done. Man, I really wish we could have seen that Vinny story because I love Vinny to death. I think he's great on Twitter. He seems like a real class act, great guy.
He is a great guy.
Hey, who knows? The magical world of wrestling, anything can happen. But yeah, as I was saying, guys, I'm John. It's my corner commentary Ashton. That's Chris Roach. That's Chris DeJoseph. You can find both of these guys on Twitter. What are your handles, guys?
I am CM_Roach. Those are my initials. I'm not a CM Punk mark.
Yeah, there you go. And
I'm just Chris DeJoseph at Twitter, whatever.
And if you guys are having any trouble spelling those, they are linked in the description.
Absolutely. So follow both.
Class acts.
Absolutely. Follow both of these guys. I mean, they are just absolutely incredible. They're making the best product on earth. I might be addicted. I think my left eye's kind of developed a twitch from withdrawal, but I'll get it looked at. So yeah, follow both of those guys. And hell, the other cast of characters, even Rosa has a Twitter account now. I know she pretty much told me to go F myself, which right back at you, Rosa. We're not done here. So that was the open forum on season 4. And guys, if you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed flexing your Q&A muscle, well, boy, do we have a treat for you because tomorrow is TWitWoW's Q&A. So you guys still have a little bit of time. We're going live with that at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't yet, please get your questions in. Patreon donors get up to 5 questions per Q&A. Non-donors get 3 questions. I've gotten a few replies on my pinned tweet, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord is the way to go to submit your questions. Get them in. You can ask us whatever you want. You can divide your questions up however you like. So we hope to see you there. And with that said, I want to thank these guys for coming on. We greatly appreciate your time. Really rooting for season 5. Hashtag we want LU season 5. Let's get that trending. And you guys take care of yourselves. And to everybody else, we will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, tune in and peace out.